Hey guys, welcome back to the Cult Classic Kids Show, and today it's going to be an interesting video because 2024 has been an insane year for a lot of Western video game creators to get f***ing humbled at the end of the day, right? A lot of these companies have released video games that were supposed to have made bank, but have gone on to absolutely fall flat on their face for many reasons, man. If it be the models that they presented in terms of monetization, or really just garbage looking video game characters that no gamers want to play as, if it be virtue signaling, pandering, outright disrespecting gamers and showing their disdain of gamers. Basically, games that have really, you could tell that they were made with the reality that HR is the absolute strongest department at these companies and has led to not being able to have honest conversations about what gamers want. That is what a lot of us can tell about a lot of these video games that have been coming out for many years, but more the main year that really it shows more blatantly than any other is 2024. Now, there's been a lot of corporate gaming shills in the space that have chosen for many years to avoid the conversation entirely. They just think, well, support product, prepare for next product, anything to secure the next review code, the next sponsorship, whatever have you. They've been willing to just outright just keep quiet. But in 2024, a lot of these people seem to think that that wasn't enough to just stay quiet. Instead, they have to be the corporate slave warriors that they are, really. And now they've chosen to turn their guns on us, people like me, critical of the gaming space for all of their faults, all the bad actors really in the space, and calling things for what they are. Now, given any space, generally speaking, not everybody in it is a good faith actor. That's the reality of the situation, right? But me, I created my YouTube channel to have genuine conversations around gaming with you guys. A lot of them, positive, negative, whatever have you. But I noticed that there was a serious situation in gaming, and that's what brought me here to have that conversation overall and to understand where this industry is headed. Because more in 2024 more than any other, it's been a complete shit show. And really, a lot of the influencers in the space have revealed themselves to be outright corporate shills. I mean, one of which reared its ugly head at the end of 2024 and bleeding into 2025, even going so far as to yeet their own podcast member for being genuine and honest about the situation in gaming and really showing that, hey, buddy, maybe slow your roll on trying to censor honest conversation in the space because you haven't necessarily been a good faith actor all of your content creation career, but that's a whole other conversation. Today, the conversation revolves around Reforge Gaming, a PlayStation Shield content creator that decided to do 10 predictions for 2025, and one of which happens to revolve around what he deems as grifters, being people that have been very highly critical of a lot of these gaming companies in 2024 and years before that. But really, a lot of people name us the anti-woke community. Now, me, I don't always cover quote-unquote anti-woke content. I do whatever I want when I want. But really, this lumps me in as well. But one of his predictions, I believe number 9, was a very interesting one that we had to talk about today. So let's hear it from Reforge Gaming on one of his predictions for 2025.
And number nine, I think the anti-woke gaming grift content, I think it moves on. I think they're going to have to set their sights on either more cultural or political things. They will have to move on from gaming. I think this year will be hard. It'll get harder and harder for that dog and pony show to get good click rate and to get good views. I think it's going to move on. I think the channels that do it, the thumbnails, all of it, I think they're going to move on. It may hit an apex, with AC Shadows, but AC Shadows comes so early in the year, I think they'll be forced to move on. That's prediction number 9. Curious what you guys think.
So there it is. That's Reforge Gaming's prediction around the quote-unquote anti-woke community, or the grifters, as he would call them. He's saying that they will move on to other things. And my first question is, what makes you think that this isn't genuine enough to remain in this community? Criticisms of gaming will always exist. I don't understand how he thinks that all of a sudden, like for me, for example, I'm going to go on to talking about something else. Like, no, gaming is my forte. I do have like a second channel that revolves around movies and whatnot. And really, that's more so review based entirely. But my gaming this is my gaming channel, and this is my main channel. This will be my main channel forever. And we will have honest conversations, both good and bad, around video games. And really, just because 2024 happens to be at the absolute worst of it, and I don't think that that's necessarily going to mean that all of the, pandering bullshit that continues to really just plague our space is going to suddenly disappear. That isn't the case. I think that there will always be issues in gaming that I will discuss, and it doesn't matter what it falls under, what category it falls under. If there's issues, I will have the honest conversations with you. I'm not going to pretend that everything's hunky-dory like Reforge likes to do most of the time, unless he wants to talk about people like me. But I will have all of these honest conversations, both good and bad, with you guys. And I think a lot of my live streams are proof of that, where we talk about all sorts of things in the gaming space, both good and bad, and we have fun with it. And that's the thing. It will always be fun to talk about gaming no matter what.
It's definitely a prediction that may not come to fruition, but I think after AC Shadows, I just think they're going to run out of gas. There won't be anything. I don't think there'll be any big enough titles to talk about. I think that this year is going to be harder and harder to make that content. I think there's just going to be too many big, good, successful games. I think Yote is going to play a role in it failing. I think just the litany of big games like Mafia and Death Stranding 2, I really do. I think GTA 6 is going to make it hard as well.
What's interesting about Reforge Gaming is that he talks about content creation surrounding us in the space of being critical of current gaming in the same way he thinks of creating content. For me, I do this genuinely as a hobby more than anything else. It's not my, it's not my main source of income. It's for fun. Whatever happens, happens. I talk about what I talk about, even if I know a video will do bad, I still make it anyway. I mean, I literally went on to buy over $200 worth of video games and got, less than 500 views out of it, but it's because it's something I wanted to do. It was a dope-ass conversation while showing you guys some of the video games that I wanted to play from the past that I didn't get the opportunity to, or games that I did play, and I unfortunately don't own copies of those games anymore. So all of that was a dope-ass conversation, and while the viewership for the video was relatively small, there was a lot of genuine discussion in the comments that I appreciate, that makes it worth it at the end of the day. Reforge Gaming just thinks of content creation from his own perspective being a money-making perspective. You see this dude absolutely, completely grifting, all right, in his own right. He'll call other people grifters, but he's a master of projection. He literally outright explains that what he would do in the same situation if he was in it. Like, yeah, if this wasn't working out for him anymore, he'd ditch. And it's like, I'm not here to ditch ever. I'm here to do what I do for fun. It's nice to grow, and I definitely expect to grow, and I expect people to resonate with me more, because simply the state of gaming as it is in the Western market has been disgusting, and with every gaming property completely sullied by these mega corporations, more people in fact will gravitate towards the discussions that I want to have, which is honest and genuine. He wants to claim that my discussions or other people's discussions in the space are not genuine. Meanwhile, he's the one that's completely just pretending that the issues that plague the gaming industry just don't exist or even go out of his way to defend them. It's clearly obvious to see here that he's just projecting on what he would do if he was in a situation that he's presented or pretending is going to happen.
If it doesn't happen this year, Amskin, I believe this will be the beginning of them feeling like they need to leave. I think they'll see it. Their growth will slow down, the viewership will slow down, and they're gonna have to move on. You can't. This year was perfect for them. It was perfect. Kill the Justice League failed. Concord failed. Dragon Age Veilguard. I mean, they got served a platter of just easy targets. I don't think it's. I think it's going to get more and more challenging going forward. And here's the other reality: publishers and developers are going to adapt, and they're going to avoid a lot of these subjects, talking points. They're gonna muzzle their people so that this kind of crap doesn't happen, and these guys are gonna get starved of content. It's gonna be harder and harder to make it. It will be.
So what Reforge Gaming is essentially saying here is that a lot of us being critical of the gaming space and a lot of these nonsensical companies pandering, their forced DI nonsense, their game developers getting out of pocket and talking smack on the people they're trying to sell products to. He's essentially saying that likely a lot of these game developers are, these gaming companies are going to stop doing that, which means essentially that us being critical of all these games and these companies has made the industry a better place for all of us. Something that he has not at all contributed to because he's a fucking coward. All right, he's a corporate shill. He's a Sony fanboy corporate shill that's just looking for the next free code, for your next gifted membership, for the next sponsorship, whatever have you. All right, that's what he's looking for. So he has done nothing to make the industry a better place. He's not spoken out. If anything, he's defended some of these very games that he's discussed, that he's brought up. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League being one of them. So thank you for essentially saying, like, hey, if gaming changes for the better, it'll be because of the people that he hates or, he has criticism for. It's hilarious. The very people that, in fact, he actually wants to censor, hilariously enough. So if the industry becomes a better place because of my contributions to discussing these games, then I'm so happy for that. That is my goal. I want the industry to become a better place. Like, that is awesome. I will survive, all right? People will still flock to me because I was honest about a lot of the situations that revolved around gaming. I was here to have the honest discussion. I was here to have the honest criticism. I was here to relate to gamers that felt disenfranchised for years in this space. So yeah, people will still come and watch my content, and I will continue to grow, in my opinion, because I've been honest this whole time, and there's a history of me being honest. I'm not like Reforge Gaming that has hidden from these conversations, that has defended these companies doing all these fucking dog shit ass things, spiting us every chance they get. It's hilarious how he exposes that he's a shill. Just in this alone, in that, hey, the people that were critical, the people that were willing to say the unpopular thing, and despite being attacked by him as well as other people in the space, they were here to help make gaming a better place. That's the goal. And I hope that he's right. I hope that these companies will make a change for the better and really humble themselves, because they need us, all right? They need consumers, gamers, to want their games and not feel like they've been spited by these companies, by these game developers. That's what they need. And if I help to contribute to making gaming a better place, to making more video games be better, to making developers realize that their word can make or break a game, and they'll just shut up and go about their business, and game developers, companies make games for gamers again, that's an overall positive that I welcome in the space.
They'll fight for scraps, says James. I mean, they spun a whole month out of Dustborn, and literally nobody even knew that game existed. Yeah, I wonder if they helped Dustborn. Like, did they help Dustborn? Yeah, you gotta wonder. I didn't know about that game. Fair Games releasing in 2025? No idea. Veilguard was Time Magazine's Game of the Year. Eek. What's Dustborn? It was some little indie title. And it just had a lot of, you know, more liberal, more progressive ideology in it than your average video game. And buddy, they wailed on it. It was just some little game. It wasn't like, I don't know. It was a nothing. It wasn't some big title.
So what Dustborn essentially was, and a lot of people don't actually know this, but Dustborn was actually government-funded propaganda. I'm not joking. This is literally the case. Essentially, government took taxpayers' money to fund this game to make you more stupid. That was literally what happened. There's proof of this out there. That's the insane thing about it. And the fact that this propaganda piece, funded by the government with taxpayer money, actually made it to some major stages, all right, in the industry. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it was shown off by Xbox, an Xbox live stream showcasing their upcoming titles more than once. So yes, it may have been a small game in nature, but the fact that this government-funded propaganda actually made it to major stages in the gaming space, it is disgusting, disgraceful behavior. And honestly, companies that are promoting this stuff like Xbox, this is shameful, absolutely shameful. And to say that us who have been highly critical of games like Dustborn, or Dustborn specifically, may have actually helped it. Reforge, did you actually play Dustborn? Did you buy and support Dustborn? Do you actually buy anything by chance? I think that's a valid question at this point. But did you actually buy and play and support Dustborn to just because, oh well, the people that I don't like, or for whatever reason, they're the ones talking about this game and shitting on this game, so let me go support it. Did you do that? No? Then shut the fuck up.
It's not just games, it's games, fanboys, topics, etc. It's never going to end. I don't think it can last, Chris. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been making content for 10 years. I'm here to tell you, metas like this, they burn out as fast as they start. I mean it. It doesn't have staying power. It doesn't. I'm here to tell you, I've been watching this type of thing happen for a decade. And I'm telling you, the faster it spins up, the faster it spins down. And they'll just chase the next thing that spins it back up again. I don't see it going away, says Detective Seeds. Could they pivot at slow times? Yes. But all they have to do is wait for the games to come out, find an issue, and the cycle will continue. Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that, Seeds, because you are kind of right. The issues start to feel very adjacent to each other. You know, they'll scream and maul about a celebrity or a Star Wars or a Disney or a Marvel, woke, and then they'll just pivot right back if a gaming, thing happens. Yeah. That's possible. Were you around for Gamergate 1? Not really. I didn't pay much attention to it.
What's hilarious about this Reforged take is a lot of people attribute the discussion around forced ideologies into video games. They attribute that to Anise Sarkeesian, who started her nonsense over a decade ago now, give or take. And really, what's funny about this whole situation is that, well, this discussion has outlasted Reforged Gaming's entire Destiny career, bro. His entire Destiny career, yeah, completely outlasted that. Has outlasted his entire prominence in the gaming space, but yet he's saying, oh, it's gonna fizzle out as fast as it started. Well, it's been how long now, and it still has yet to fizzle out? You want to pretend otherwise, but that's the reality of the situation. You want to pretend that this is a more recent event because you've now gotten into the discussion. It's crazy how self-obsessed this is. Just because now you started talking about it, now the discussion exists? No, that's not the case. And it's funny how he essentially ignored Gamergate 1. Yeah, you've always been a industry shill, it seems. So what else is new? Talk about like the self-obsession, bro. It is so weird. And a lot of these same types exhibit the same quality of being self-obsessed. It's very weird.
This one has massive staying power. I don't think that it does. I don't. I think when something lacks integrity and honesty and it's primarily built on negative emotional response, I believe an exhaustion point is always reached. I believe it. I've seen it. I don't think it can last.
What Reforge is doing here is essentially projecting. The only disingenuous person really in a conversation is he himself. He has not been able to have an honest discussion about a lot of these AAA corporations that have spat in the face of gamers, essentially. And to say that it's entirely just, negative content. I mean, quote unquote, anti-woke grifters have championed games like Black Myth Wukong, like Space Marine 2. There is a lot of games to talk positively about. We've championed plenty of solid video games that have come out this year, and we will continue to do such. Games that are anti-censorship, that are anti-forced DEI, anti-SBI. A lot of these games, a lot of developers like Helldivers 2 director that's like, yeah, we shouldn't be forcing this ideological BS into our video games because it's not good for the game, it's not good for the companies, it's not good for the long staying power of a video game. It'll essentially age it like milk, is what they were kind of alluding to. Don't make propaganda pieces, make good video games. That's what lasts. Like, we will champion positive sentiments like this. I talked about that particularly on my most recent live stream. There'll be plenty of video games to champion. There'll be plenty of positive sentiments to champion. And I hope that a lot of the nonsense and a lot of disdain and hatred and propaganda that's forced into video games, I hope that will die out. That would be a net positive, not just for me, not just for people that watch me, but for gamers as a whole, whether you Reforge see it or whether your audience sees it or not.
Lewis is saying, isn't their model of attention just rage bait? If they don't care about credibility, it pretty much is endless. Well, there's another factor at play here that I haven't mentioned. YouTube is experimenting in different markets with being very, very firmly against rage bait or clickbait. Right? Like making a thumbnail that said, this person did this, or like fake tweets in the thumbnails. Have you ever seen those ones? Right? I think that's another factor at play here that's going to hurt some of these channels. A lot of what they do only works because they can make titles and thumbnails that are misleading. And I think that's going to make it more difficult. Like if that actually spreads and they start to crack down on that kind of a thing, some of these channels will have a hard time because the videos will get smacked for basically saying you put something on the title and thumbnail that's not accurate. It's getting very hard to draw lines between good faith arguments and just plain nonsense.
So here's Reforge Gaming continuing to give more examples of him being the absolute corporate shill that he is. He wants to essentially eliminate his detractors as well as people he disagrees with simply because they are that, his detractors and people that he disagrees with. And he wants YouTube to do this for him. He feels as though outright censorship is completely acceptable. And really, at the end of the day, if YouTube follows his line of thinking, perhaps he should be the one that's censored because, unlike us, we were honest about a lot of these Western AAA video games that have come out in 2024. We'd had honest discussions about them, and guess what? They failed because they're terrible. And a lot of people like Reforge want to attribute success to games to himself and not to the people like us that are championing them. And when they fail, he blames us for it. It's like, you can't have both. Either we influence games to succeed or fail, or we don't at all. Like, you can't just pick and choose, but people like him tend to do that. So it's like, you can't have an honest discussion at all with these types of people. And do I believe that clickbait does exist on the platform? Absolutely. I see it all the time. I like to watch a lot of classic musical artists perform live. And with that comes a lot of nonsense that does appear on my YouTube feed being like, oh, this older artist happened to have passed away. Like, a lot of that was, I would constantly see videos about Celine Dion dying, even though she's still alive and stuff like that. So I digress from that conversation. But yeah, YouTube definitely needs to handle that, but I won't be affected by YouTube censoring or outright removing content, because I've had the honest conversations. My thumbnails aren't clickbait, all right? So, yeah, to think that this would affect people like me or others that have the same conversations as me is naive, to say the least.
My goal and hope with my content is not to be out here going to war with them and running a counter narrative, but just always being firm on, if we're going to have discussions and opinions and predictions and claims, it's got to be based in facts. It can't be based in all this nonsense. Things are just made up. Oh, I got an email from somebody. Oh, I have a source. Okay.
How about you say his name, pussy? It is Smash JT. He will not say his name because, well, he doesn't want to give him any clout, but clearly he's talking about Smash JT here in regards to, well, I heard it from a source. And to act like this is something that games journalists don't also do is insane. And we see this all the time in the journalistic space, and some of it is obviously fake. We make the joke, the Jeopardy joke, like, "Hey, Alex, things that never happened for 200." Like, obviously that's a thing, and to not speak out about this when it comes to game journalists, but you'll indirectly speak out about this when it comes to Smash JT. It just sounds like you're upset that you didn't get the scoop on this, right? But to act like he's the one that has the genuine conversations, things that are based on fact and whatnot. I mean, this prediction alone that he's made is not based on any factual proof or prediction making whatsoever. It's just, well, I want to talk something into existence. And it's like, as much as you think you are, a big deal and the world revolves around you, it simply does not. You are one of the most disingenuous people in the space. You corporate cheerlead for Sony and other companies that really continue to undermine consumers and gamers all across the world, really, at the end of the day. And to pretend that you're anything but that, it goes to show that you are absolutely 100% believing in your own delusion at this point.
Yeah, I do not have an issue with it, man. I am not a fan. You guys know this. I coined the term diversity dust. I don't like race swapping. I think it actually harms and tokenifies persons of color. I don't think it's helpful. I don't. I don't like when you go into a movie or a show and you just sprinkle diversity dust on it. It feels contrived. It feels fake and thin. And I do not think that's what's happening with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't. And a 5-bomb comes in from Gambit Zero. He says, come on, someone tag team this with me. We just need another 5er. And you guys have 2 minutes. Crushing it. Thank you, Gambit Zero. You have to admit, though, Lono, Sony is teetering on having a pretty big imbalance of female protagonists. They are? Where? Where? What are you talking about? I'm not seeing it. We had Aloy and God of War in the same year. We had Clive. That's not their game, but it was an exclusive in FF16. Miles and Peter in the same year. This year was, if we go look at exclusives, Ronin, Stellar Blade. Ronin, you can make whatever you want, can't you? Yeah, you can pick. You can pick in Ronin. Astrobot's a bot. Next year, you're going to get Death Stranding 2. It's Norman Reedus and Yote. Where?
Reforge is just pretending that the whole DEI, diversity dust, as he calls it, as corny as that garbage sounds, all of the ideological driven changes or nonsense, he pretends that it doesn't exist in gaming, essentially, but in movies and TV, it does. And it's like, it's interesting that the one form of entertainment that you cover, you pretend that it doesn't exist, but you acknowledge it exists in these other forms of entertainment. This exists in every singular form of entertainment that stands today. To pretend otherwise, to be completely ignorant. for him, he lives in the space of gaming. His entire job, all right, revolves around the space of gaming, and to pretend that it doesn't exist so that you can be, corporate friendly, it is just purely just lying. You're just lying, and to say that, oh, it doesn't exist in the Sony space. People have noticed trend with Sony that they are indeed changing out a lot of their leads that happen to be straight white men for others. If it be Spider-Man, if it be Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, if it be Ghost of Tsushima, I can go on and on and on, really. Um Days Gone got yeeted. All right, we got Returnal. You can go on and on and on about these games that happen to fall in line with, hey, we want to pivot towards non-white males and mostly change them for women. I mean, The Last of Us being a perfect example of that, and outright just make the transition, man. To act like that isn't the case is just completely disingenuous. And the thing is, there are a lot of men in gaming that feel as though the games don't cater to them anymore. And your response is to simply just say, go fuck yourself. And it's like, well, then you wonder why people just treat you like a joke and then treat the industry like it's a joke and laugh and mock their game releases, because it's not like the games are getting better. In fact, they're just getting worse. And that isn't necessarily because of the changes to the lead, but it's sort of a pattern that people are following. Like, for example, I really like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I really like Rivet as a character. But does it fall in line with the general pattern we're seeing? Yes, absolutely. And to deny it is to just live in pure delusion, if it be for your own financial gain or just to be delusional in general. But to pretend that it doesn't exist in this space when clearly it does, it's just pure ignorance. But guys, it's been hilarious dunking on Reforge Gaming with this nonsensical take. It's just hilarious that he will not acknowledge that it exists in gaming. And this entire prediction is simply, it's just out of delusion. And really, he's the one that deserves to be criticized more and more for not being honest about the state of gaming, and for us having to be, and for him turning against us because we're willing to have the conversations. We won't take the ads. All right, the we won't be influenced by the advertisers. We won't be influenced by the next free game key that we get. We're not influenced by this. We have the honest conversations, no matter at what cost it is. If it means getting yellow symboled by YouTube or whatever have you. All right, not being getting rejected for free codes or whatever, man. I came into this space with the intention of making all these companies absolutely hate me, but to earn your trust and really to earn your respect at the end of the day, and screw everyone, all these mega corporations out here, right? That's for me personally. And for him to pretend that somehow I'm the disingenuous one, or we that are critical of Western video games in modern day, like pretend that we're the disingenuous ones, is just pure total projection. But guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comment section down below. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Mario Kart if you'd like to continue the conversation. Consider becoming a channel member. Gets you instant access to the Discord. We are so close to 6K, so any assistance on that is definitely appreciated. And if you can, turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified of when my videos go live. And yeah, join me Thursday nights, 8 p.m. EST, for the Twilight Zone of Gaming, where we talk about all things gaming related, if it be good, bad, and make fun of fanboys like Reforge Gaming and people that defend the woke DEI nonsense and so on and so forth. It's a fun time. Come hang with us there. And yeah, guys, while being said, I'm out. Peace.